What's going on, guys? Army-Firedawg is back again, and today I actually have a review time for you, and this is of the fairly new brand, and that is of the Mixcder and their HD601 headphones. These are their over-ear wireless offering. And the price of these range anywhere between $50 to $100, depending on where you want to search through, and of course I'll leave a link to where you can find them yourselves and more information in the description box down below. But of course, I like to start with the construction and then work my way down from there. So starting with the construction on it, and in all honesty, I was expecting it to be not as nicely built as it is. It is still built fairly inexpensively and cheaply. However, if you recall from my unboxing video, I compared it to my Sony MDR10 RNCIP noise cancelling headphones. Now, while I think those are built out of a better quality plastic, the overall feel is very similar to these. The frame itself is, as you can even probably see on the camera, a pretty inexpensive and cheap plastic. It does feel cheap in your hands, but at the same time, I will give it due credit. It feels much sturdier than by any other headphones I found, especially in this price point. There's no real squeaks. The only time you really feel anything is when you're rotating the cups, and you can kind of feel the plastic on plastic right here versus a ball bearing on some of the premier headphones. But truthfully, that's not really that big of a deal. At least in my opinion, it's not. Especially at this price point. The headband is actually quite rigid, so when this is on your head, it gives a really nice amount of give, and I'll discuss that further more in the comfort section. As you move down, the headband actually gives you a pretty good amount of articulation. It does give you some numbers here from 5 to 25, which will give you a very good gauge of exactly where you should be. Versus counting the dashes, you can just see the number and remember, hey, that's where I need to be. The cushions are a fake leather, of course, and it has kind of like a memory foam material on the inside. And I'm kind of touching more into the comfort, I really enjoyed these. Like, I really didn't have hardly any issues at all with the comfort of these pads and how they felt. Now, if you switch the pads over to the back of the cup, you can see right here, you have all of your controls. And it's just like I thought in my unboxing video. This, if you just tap it, is volume up. Hold it for about 2 seconds is track forward. Opposite is true with the V down. The power button here is your, yes, turn it on for power, hold for pairing mode, and then a single touch is answer, pause, or hang up and accept call if you were to have a phone call. Now, on that note, these actually do really good with phone calls. I honestly had a great conversation with these. I could clearly hear who I was talking to. They had no complaints when I was talking to them. So as far as just a wireless headset, the HD601s do a very impressive job. Again, especially for their price point. Especially if you can find it towards the $50 range. Even at $100. Like, these are easily a really good buy at $100. Very, very solid purchase. But at $50, that's a steal. Now, on the right ear cup, all the controls are on the right ear cup, clearly marked by the left and right, or L and R on the inside of the cups. But on the right one, you also have NFC. So, on NFC-enabled devices, which is at this point is most Android and newer iPhones, all you have to do is turn your NFC on, and you just have to tap the back of your phone to this, and it will auto-sync. I personally never had any issues with the Bluetooth. I mean, it paired just like that, so I've never really had the urge to use the NFC. And then lastly, going back into the ear cups, where yes, you have the L and R. However, and this is a really cool feature that I didn't expect to see, and my camera's not going to show it, but you can see kind of how this is angled. Your drivers are actually angled inwards a little bit, so the speaker is pointing towards your head. That very small thing does a great job, at least in my opinion, with the imaging, which I will definitely touch on in the sound section. But overall, with the HD601s, I think Mixcder did a wonderful job with how they built these. For their price, even higher, honestly. I mean, this thing is built solid. It's lightweight. It has handled a couple drops. But there's no scratches, no nothing. So very well done on your part, Mixcder. Now, moving on to the comfort. And the comfort of these, going back to the top, is really nice on the headbands. Like, this is great padding. Like, it looks thick. I mean, that's really good padding when it's on your head. It doesn't brush up against it, like it's not thin enough where you feel it against your scalp, but it also doesn't hold your hair back either. That's a note that I have, because I have short hair. A lot of headphones will actually grab it and then kind of pull some of that back, and over time, it gets a little bit uncomfortable. I didn't have that issue with the HD601s. The ear cups, and I touched on this a little bit ago, but kind of reiterate because this is the appropriate section. But the pads are very comfortable. Like, I really enjoyed the pads. They were very comfortable. My ears didn't get hot, regardless of how many hours. I think the longest listening duration I had with these was 3 hours, and that was when I was mowing the lawn. Which, on that note, and I guess this kind of should go for the construction or comfort, it goes in either one, but the isolation on the Mixcder HD601s are wonderful. Like, I really enjoyed, well, for what you can enjoy mowing your lawn, but listening to these while I was mowing my lawn, I could clearly hear, without blasting these, the Destiny Lore YouTube commentator I was listening to when I was mowing my lawn. I heard every word, I didn't have to blast it, and it was a very comfortable listen. I could still hear the rumble in the background, and nothing's going to cancel that. But for just a normal over-ear headphone, these isolate very, very well. And then also touching on how light they are, when they're on your head, you can easily wear these and pretty much forget you're wearing them, honestly, because they don't weigh nothing. So feel free to wear these on long plane trips or car trips, not driving, or whatever. Which, on that note, the battery life on these is superb. I mean, I've gotten, I think, about 16-ish hours so far of consistent listening, not charging, just off sheer Bluetooth, and my Bluetooth connected device battery indicator on my phone still says it's fully charged. So these suckers have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful battery life. Now, your miles may of course vary, but at least me personally, they just keep going. Now, on that note of listening to them for a long time, how do they sound? Do they sound cheap sounding? Do they sound like most wireless headphones at this price point? And honestly, no. These, and I'll be upfront and disclaim, I really didn't have much hope for these sounding that great. I knew they would sound pretty good, but being Bluetooth, especially all the other features that are on it, kind of would take away from the sound, usually. But I can't put my finger on it. It's definitely a fun sounding headphone, but I really enjoy listening to these. Like, I just need a to-go pair to grab. I've been leaning on grabbing these versus some of my other more expensive headphones because I just enjoy the sound. They're a very fun sound. But I touched on the imaging earlier. So the imaging on these, with respect to its price, and also quite a bit above its price, is really impressive. For example, when I'm closing my eyes, I could do a pretty impressive job at visualizing the performance I'm listening to. I could do a very good job at hearing the guitar pluck the strings, the cello move its bow across the strings, and it was just a very enjoyable experience. Now, if you remember from my unboxing video, the graph on the side says it's EQ'd for deep bass. So I was thinking, man, it's going to have a really, really powerful V-shaped sound curve with very subdued mids, which I personally don't like. And actually, I'll grab the box right here, so you know what I'm talking about. But the sound of the Mixcder HD601 was kind of like a hill kind of sound to it. And I'll discuss that more in the individual aspects. But the mids were very enjoyable. Now, at certain points, when you're listening to certain songs, actually a lot of songs, I'll actually go ahead and say, honestly, a lot of the songs, the bass is, truthfully, the focal point. And it does kind of swallow up into the mid-section some. But overall, I mean, it's a very nice, and it fits to the overall presentation of the HD601s. The soundstage, it's pretty small. It's a pretty in-your-face soundstage. So, like, never once when you're listening to these, the transparency as well is not that great. You're going to know you're listening to headphones. It's never going to be let me just close my eyes and experience this performance. At least I never got that my entire time with this product. It was a very enjoyable headphone, but it was never a realistic, vast, great experience. But now, allow me to go into the individual aspects, so maybe I can discuss and explain the characteristics I was talking about better. So starting with the treble is very subdued. Regardless if I'm listening to Lindsey Sterling's violin, Maxence Siren's piano, or any very high-pitched female artist's voice, never got the energy. It just sounded bland, the treble did. It was a very disappointing treble response. It's definitely a darker sounding headphone. Now moving on to the mids. The mids, as I said earlier, I really enjoyed. I could clearly make out the vocals. I could really enjoy and listen to more of acoustic string instruments. Some of the upper mids, right, or lower treble range, that definitely got a couple octaves lower due to the bass bias that are present in these headphones. But the overall sound of the mid section was really enjoyable. Like, rock music was very nice, or metal, but you could hear the vocals or the artists and the instruments really impressively for, again, the price point of the Mixcder HD601s. But going back to that kind of heel graph I said, like, so you have the treble is definitely down here. The mids are slightly elevated. I will give that. The upper mids are still a little bit dipped. The mid-mids are slightly elevated, and then the lower mids are definitely going up a little bit, which is why I said I think the cellos or bass guitars sound very prominent on the HD601s. Now going towards the bass, which, staying on the aspect, is definitely up here. These are very bassy headphones that I personally think would satisfy about any bass head. Now, it's not overwhelming though. It's very close. It's very close to being overpowering for me personally, but again, I'm not a bass head, so I don't like that much bass, but on the Mixcder HD601s, it was really enjoyable. It was very punchy. Like, it hit a note and had a very impressive sub-bass quality to it. Like, you could feel quite a bit of the music. Like, if I'm listening to Party Till We Die, there's another song that I linked in my written review, I just can't think of it off the top of my head, that has a great sub-bass section to it that you feel. And on the HD601s, that was very prominent. Now, with that heavy punchy bass, there is a lot of decay. So for example, when that bass hits, it is a very slow recover. It takes, like, it'll bleed right into the next note. So when you're listening to, and again, there's another really good song I was listening to that did a fairly decent job of showing what I'm trying to get out, and it's linked in my written review. But it sounds good, but after continuous bass hits, the bass starts to jumble together, and then it all just becomes one distorted bass jumble. And it's not necessarily super bad, however, when you're wanting an accurate reproduction, or there's a certain part of the songs like has very higher pitched mids and a bass response to it, it's not going to be somewhat enjoyable. You're going to honestly want to skip songs because the bass will just eat up that mids because it's gone on so much, and the decay has just snowballed. That's the word I'm trying to get out, but it has snowballed into a much bigger thing until the bass kind of takes a rest for a second. But my overall thoughts on the HD601s, I am surprisingly impressed by how much I enjoyed these headphones. I know kind of while discussing it, it kind of doesn't sound like I did, but the sound signature of these headphones, the sound they're geared towards, I found really enjoyable and fun to listen to. They were great to work out in. They were great to mow the lawn in. They're great to just, sit by and listen to music in. And they're very fun. Like, I got up, I bopped my head, I tapped my feet, I snapped my fingers quite a bit while listening to it. And if you listen to the, again, link to my written review, which is linked down below, on the description page of how to actually pronounce this, they get into why they make headphones, which is for you to enjoy. And I really did. They hit the nail right on the head with the Mixcder HD601s. They did, in my opinion, exactly what they sought out to be. The 2 weeks I've had these headphones have been a very enjoyable experience. And anytime I have not had my head glued to my new HD800S, which is anytime outside of this room, I have had those on my head, and it has been a very enjoyable experience. So for any of you who are looking for a pretty inexpensive, again, from the $50 to the $100 range, that is wireless. You're just wanting a to-go pair to have fun with. A great gift. I strongly concur. Check these out. Man, I think these would satisfy about anyone's need, unless without getting super picky. Again, is there things to improve on? Yes, of course there is. But in this price point, it is one of the best, and I hate using that word, but in its price point of the between $50 and $100, it's one of the best products I have ever heard. This competes with the Edifier H850 on many aspects of products that has just overwhelmingly impressed all my expectations for its price. With just that, without nitpicking some, I think Mixcder did a stand-up job with their HD601s. And if y'all are looking for an inexpensive pair of wireless headphones, check them out. Goofy name, I will admit, but they make results. But guys, that is actually it for my pretty long review of the Mixcder HD601s. If you have any questions or if there's anything you think I may have missed, please hit me up in the comments down below. I've really enjoyed having some conversations with you guys. A lot of you I haven't talked to in a long time, and it was really cool to touch back up with you, see what products you've gotten, see what you've been saving up for and wanting to get. Most of those conversations has been in the 800S unboxing, but I enjoy listening and talking to you and learning, following up with you guys, seeing what y'all have been into. I truly enjoy that conversation. But I guess get back on track. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I do here on the channel, hit that subscribe button and keep yourself filled in with all the new products I have coming out. But as always, guys, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly been a pleasure, but most importantly, and please I ask above all else, stay safe.